Hey everyone. So this is a call, and what I'm going to talk about in this video is how to bring balance to the fire element in the physical body. And so these are going to be practices. I'm not going to go into like dietary protocols or anything like that. This is going to strictly be primarily about mudra and breath work. And also I kind of want to talk about how you recognize the fire element in the body, and also a little bit about like sort of, what happens when the fire element is out of balance. So the this video is also pretty good for those of you who, let's say, have a lot of prominent energy in a fire house, which would be first house, fifth house, or ninth house, or you have your sun in, let's say, Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius. So first off, the fire element is, well, the most general way to say it is that it's the conversion principle in the body. So it is the aspect of the body that, let's say, digests, right? So now when we talk about digestion, we're not just talking about the breakdown of food and then the transformation into something else, right? I like to think about, and actually when I think about this whole transformation process of food into, let's say, physical components like muscle and bone and things like that, it really is a transmutation process. It's about changing something from one form to another form. And so with digestion, it can also mean how we digest, let's say, information, right? So we do digest information. Our brain digests information. So we can be very, very selective with the kind of information we bring in, and then our brain will digest it and assimilate it and, change its form in many different ways, and then basically we'll be able to, regurgitate it out into the world. So that's what the fire element is. It's about this conversion of something to something else. It's often kind of recognized as, I'm just going to say a few things here. So it could be related to the action principle, so activity. It could be related to the electrical components in the body, right? It can be related to, let's see what else. The intellect, digestion, on and on and on. So the what ends up happening is when these elements are out of balance, you have weak digestion. That means that you're not converting something into something else. Again, like if you're the food you bring in, you're not assimilating, you're not digesting it quickly, or it's being digested too much, too quickly. So again, this could change. This could result in body composition changes or shifts. And again, I don't want to go too much into that sort of thing. But what I do want to kind of talk about is sort of more what I would say is the experiential aspect of this, which is something you can relate to individually. So what we're talking about is, like for instance, with Leo, Aries, and Sagittarius, one thing that's really consistent with all those signs is activity, right? So there's activity, there's all this energy, this vibrance, this like with Leo, it's the sun, it's shining, right? And Mars with Aries is a very action-oriented kind of energy. And then with Sagittarius, it's Jupiter, there's this expansion principle, right? So expansion is in a lot of ways activity, even if the activity is in the realm, as I mentioned earlier, philosophical, right? So information comes in, the Sagittarian grabs the information, kind of looks at it in different ways, and then sort of brings it out into the world in a different form. So it's transforming the information that it's going to that it has been brought in. So something else that can kind of happen is if this element is out of balance, one of the things that can happen is these individuals can have a lot of restlessness, right? So a lot of restlessness, impulsive, right? So it could be very impulsive. I think of Aries quite a bit with this particular one. Impatience, right? Or like, I want this, and you sort of have so much drive towards something. Aries and Leo. You have so much drive towards something that you sort of don't pay attention to those you're sort of moving past or moving through in order to get what you're going toward. And again, these are all the things that are sort of corrected over time through self-awareness, and becoming progressively more graceful. So, and this is something that's really consistent with most fire signs that I know. In fact, all the fire signs that I know personally, is that they all have an interest in mindfulness, right? It's all this interest in mindfulness. Why? Because mindfulness balances fire elements a lot. Because what does it do? It slows them down. So what I want to teach you in this video is not just this mindfulness principle, but I want to teach you a breath practice in a mudra, which you then can apply prior to meditation. And again, meditation really is this cultivation of the mindfulness principle. And so these particular breath practices, well, this one particular breath practice rather, it's actually quite powerful. Because what we're dealing with this particular practice is the tongue. So when the tongue, which is then connected, it's interesting, people don't think about it like this, but the tongue is not just connected down to the throat, it's also connected indirectly to all the connective tissues leading all the way down towards the genitalia, right? So there's a lot of, I would say, heat along this particular channel. And so what we end up doing here is, what we end up doing with this particular breath practice is we're going to be inhaling through the mouth. And you can see what I'm doing with my lips. It's a thin stream of air that I'm creating, and you're pulling it across the tongue. So what it's doing is it's cooling, right? So there's a cooling effect on the tongue, which is then going to cool a lot of the sort of, the connections going down towards the solar plexus and the sexual center. So this cooling will also then sort of slow things down. And when you slow things down, what does it do? Well, it activates the parasympathetic branch of the nervous system. The parasympathetic branch of the nervous system is responsible for rest and digestion, right? So again, if you cool things down, you're going to digest your food better. You're going to assimilate the nutrients better. And so that's part of what this is about. For instance, if you want to eat a meal, don't eat a meal while you're driving or talking on the phone or something like that. You want to eat it at least in a calm, collected kind of state. And for some people, don't get me wrong, actually some people I do believe benefit, not fire signs necessarily, but some people do benefit from activity while they're eating. Let's say they have kind of a weak digestion. And so the activity actually kind of churns things up a little bit. So again, a lot of dynamics here, a lot of complexity here. But just keep in mind the one simple principle. If you have a lot of heat, if you're overstressed, if you have too much fire going on, too much activity, too much anxiousness, too much restlessness, then what you need to do is you got to cool it. And so the process of inhaling long and slow through pursed lips, pulling that air over the tongue will create a cooling sensation. It's going to inflate you full of air. You're going to fill up. And so you're creating, again, you're shifting that sort of bias on the nervous system. And then when we exhale, we're going to exhale out the nose. So it's inhale mouth, exhale nose. So when you exhale out the nose, it's going to be a little more forceful. You're going to drive in your navel point. When I say the navel point, I'm talking about 2 fingers below the actual navel. You're going to kind of pull it in gently. And what does this do? This activates, the navel point, which is then related to your solar plexus, which then will start to kindle the fire, right? Because what you're doing, anywhere you draw your awareness, you're going to draw heat. So you want your heat, not up here. You want your heat down in your belly. Why do you want it in your belly? For digestion and assimilation, okay? So hopefully all that's pretty clear. I'm going to go ahead and get into the practice. Hopefully I didn't forget anything. So we'll go ahead and get into the practice. So you want to find yourself in a nice sort of upright position. Think about seated on the floor, like I'm seated cross-legged on the floor right now. You can't see me, oh well. But again, what you want to do, cross-legged, sit in a chair, put your feet flat on the floor. You can sit in rock pose, which would be sitting up on your heels. The objective is upright spine. All right, so once you have an upright spine, we're going to do the mudra for the fire element. So it's a flick, a thumb, and ring finger. creating a flick. Sort of resting the arms on the knees. Again, nice, tall posture. Now, I always think it's really important for everyone, if you're going to go into any sort of meditative practice, any breath work, etc., what you want to do is you got to remember there's two poles. You have a pole above and you have a pole below. The pole above, right, so is the crown chakra, and down below we have our root. So you want to make sure, in essence, the fundamental purpose of Tantra is to connect the root with the crown. That's really it. I mean, fundamentally. There's a lot of details in between, but really it's about connecting root to the crown. How do we do that? Well, again, there's a lot of little details in between. I'm not going to get into that in this video, but what I do want you to do in this video is to press your perineum down. So you're connecting to your root consciously by bringing your awareness to that. Push that perineum down. If you don't know what the perineum is, genitals here, anus here. Perineum's a space right in between, called the taint, the geech, the chode, a lot of different names for the anal genital space. So you want to push that perineum down. Then you want to pull up tall, tuck the chin, bring the crown of the head, which is towards the back of the skull, into alignment with whatever light you may perceive above the head. Good, nice tall posture. Relax the shoulders. Again, hands and a flick, ring finger and thumb. Good. So we're going to go do this breath for just a little bit. We're also going, again, because this is a transmutation video, so we're going to add some genital contractions as well when we get to the point where the breath is retained. So first off, let's go ahead and take a deep breath in. Exhale all that air out. We're going to begin inhaling through the mouth. We're going to do this for about 2 minutes is all. So nice long breaths. Inhale through mouth. Feel that stream of air pulling across the tongue. And then we're going to exhale somewhat forcefully, drawing in your belt line, your navel point. Blowing it out the nose. Inhale mouth. Exhale nose. Again, draw in that belt line. Allow the belt line to drive the air out. Try to fill up entirely full of air from your base all the way up to your sinus. We're going to do about 30 more seconds. Last breath, and in, bring it in. Retain the breath. Inhale a little bit through the nose if you need. Begin to contract and relax your genitalia. Relax your armpits, relax the shoulders, ribs, belly, neck, throat, sinuses, roof of the mouth. Tongue at the roof of the mouth, you can gently roll the eyes up, again, contracting and relaxing the genitals. Good. Go ahead and exhale out. Let's try one more of those. Deep breath in. Retain the breath. Again, relax all the way up. Tongue gently at the roof of the mouth. Eyes gently rolled up. Relax the middle part of the roof of the mouth, a fire point. Genitals contracting and relaxing. Good. This time we're going to exhale. We're going to pull Mula Bandha or root lock. Go ahead and exhale all the air out, contracting the anus, the perineum, the genitals, pulling your belt line. Maintain that root lock or Mula Bandha. When you're ready to inhale, relax the root lock. Deep breath in. Then exhale all the air out. Good. Now I suggest meditating for about 5 minutes or so, at least 20 minutes, 30 minutes better, obviously. If you're interested in the long form version in which we balance all the elements in the body, you can check out the link down below this video. It's a very powerful transmutation practice and it's very inexpensive. So check out the link down below the video and thank you all.